Hello everyone, my name is Plywood, and this is going to be a marathon submission of Metal Gear Ghost Babel on the Game Boy Color. This game is the last 2D Metal Gear game ever made. It was released in the West as Metal Gear Solid. And the reason why this game was made originally was Konami of Europe wanted a portable Metal Gear Solid game, building off of the hype and reception of Metal Gear Solid released on the PlayStation in the year 1998. The issue with the fact that they named it that was some people actually got confused in what this game was, thinking it was like a demake of Metal Gear Solid. It's not the case. It's its own separate game. It definitely does take inspiration from Metal Gear Solid, but the story and gameplay is not like that game, really. The big differences between this game and the other 2D Metal Gear games are the movement, really. Now, in those games, you can only go up, down, left, or right. In this game, you can run on diagonals, which that little detail changes a lot of the gameplay dynamics, especially in a speedrun. Part of that is because of how guards behave and act. The other big difference is that this game is built in a stage setup. So rather than being one continuous game, there's 13 stages in this game. Kind of like Metal Gear Solid 5, Portable Ops, Peace Walker, games like that are structured in like a mission-based kind of way. So you have to complete an objective to move on to the next stage, so on and so forth. Now, you're going to notice that I'm on the Japanese cartridge, the Ghost Babel cartridge. And the reason behind that is the script is several minutes shorter with Japanese characters versus English characters. And the reason behind that is just because when you're trying to make a story-based game with a huge script on the Game Boy, you're going to need to make sure that the English alphabet is very big for that small screen. Whereas the Japanese version, the script is a lot more compressed because of the difference in the characters. So that saves me and you time. But how we compare this game competitively, we actually use the in-game timer. It's a very robust in-game timer. Removes codecs, cutscenes, and times within menus, which will be important later on. So we get caught there quite intentionally. But we gotta avoid getting smacked by that guard, which we did. Very nice. During these codecs, of which there's always going to be codecs and cutscenes after the completion of every mission, those are great times for donation readings. But as we go on, I'll try to explain briefly and basically how the story is. Right now, they're meeting with Chris Jenner, one of the last surviving members of an attack team trying to destroy Metal Gear, the Metal Gear that is at this base. And this base is located on the remains of the original Metal Gear base. So essentially this story is a what-if story if Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake was never made. So the movement on this stage and this screen is very important. I'm going to avoid getting spotted by that guard so we can safely go into the truck. Go against the wall, which is a new feature in this game compared to the old Metal Gear 2D games. Taking some inspiration from Metal Gear Solid there. But we're going to get spotted here, all according to plan. And then we're going to crawl through this fence. I think this guy might spot me. Ooh, he didn't. Nice. And then at the third columns, we go down right. So the whole goal of this stage is to pick up the card and then exit so we can get into the sewers. just knowing where to go is a big important thing in this game, as well as knowing what direction to hold on each screen, because some strategies and some cycles are completely contingent on being able to time your movements properly. Movement is very key in this game, because some screens go by so fast and the cycles are so tight that messing up your movement just by a fraction, it's over. So we're going to be going through the sewers now. The difficulty curve is going to spike here, because I'll be going for a tough skip. It's called water skip. Now in the sewers, there's going to be these water waves, this rush of water that we're going to have to try to avoid. Now the game intends you to climb these ladders and wait for the waves to pass, go to the next ladder, wait for the wave to pass, and so on and so forth. But that's really slow, and it isn't that cool looking. So instead what we do is we're going to time our transition across the load zone with the water wave going across. And if we do this at the proper time, within the right frame window, which is about 10 frames, if we do it early enough within that frame window, we can actually skip the next wave as well. There's a lot of different methods of doing it. It's really personal preference how you approach this. You just have to keep a mental conception in your mind of how long it takes for the wave to pass. A mental conception of water. That's good. Okay, we're in the frame window to skip this next wave. And we did it. Nice. That's water skip, folks. That's water skip. So now that we're out of the sewers, we're heading into the watchtower. We're going to reconvene with Chris Jenner. She's kind of like the Meryl figure of this game, if we're talking in Metal Gear Solid terms. Equip our card now. Again, you're going to see right here, diagonals are going to alter these guards' behaviors to not hit me. So precision on your movement is very key to avoid getting smacked around. This guard, though, ooh, he missed. Nice. Sometimes that guard will hit you, though, just because of the bottleneck, but I had good luck there. And this next screen is another touchy screen as far as your movement is concerned. When we go through this screen again, as we return through this room, if our movement's perfect, we'll be able to run past a guard before he notices us. But if we mess up our movement, we're going to have to knock him out. Just like that. Very good. If you're wondering about the input display, that is a feature of the Game Boy interface software. I like to show it just to show what I'm doing to everyone. But of course in a marathon I don't necessarily have to have it on. I can turn it off, no problem. We'll wait for this elevator to come down. You're going to notice that I'm going to open up the menu whenever I enter an elevator or exit one. This is because the real-time action of the elevator door opening and closing happens regardless if that menu's open, which saves me time in-game wise. So you're going to notice me doing a lot of my menus around the elevators later on. And this goof is going to miss, just like the other guys. And we're going to head around this spiral. We're almost done with stage 3. Very important we go the correct way through this spiral. We don't want to go through the spiral again. And we just run left here. Ignore these lasers, they're a huge waste of time. No worries. Just head on through and the alert doesn't stick. Certain alerts, however, will stick even if you go through a load zone. And if you're on alert, you can't use an elevator, which is why certain stages not getting alerts is very important. And a sub 330, very nice. Very nice time. Just a little background on my experience running this game. I've run this game for a little over a year. And I am 1 second away from world record. The world record had very good luck. So it's a pretty tight competition. This is Black Chamber. They're the foxhound or dead cell of this game. We're going to be fighting all these goons throughout the game. In fact, one of them will be fighting in this stage, Slasher Hawk. He's an aborigine from Australia who fights with boomerangs. And his backstory involves issues of racism and being an aborigine native to Australia. This game actually dives into some pretty deep, dark themes for a game that's rated E for everyone. Some of the backstories of these characters is pretty dark. Suicide, serial killers, pretty gnarly stuff for everyone, even like 6-year-olds to consume. But when I played this game when I was like 5 or 6, it didn't really dawn on me what was happening. It's only many years later on that I'm like, oh, this game's pretty dark. But we like it nonetheless. And of course in Japanese, unless you can read Japanese, you don't really know what's going on. So, now going through the watchtower, we're going to be exiting the watchtower to go outside, and just following Chris throughout this tower. Really nothing too extraordinary going on here. It's only when we get outside that things get a little prickly. So we take some damage there to pick up chaff grenades. Those are the only chaff grenades I'll be picking up throughout the entire run. And we'll be using every single one of them. Knock that guard out. Head through the spiral once again. Now when we go outside, things are getting a little bit tough. We're going to be dealing with dogs. And these dogs are pretty dangerous because they can attack you very quickly. And your invincibility frames of Snake are not going to save you from the onslaught of the dogs. So movement and knowing how to move outside is very important. I know I'm probably sounding a little bit like a broken record talking about the movement so much, but it really is the separating factor between life and death in this game. The other thing we're going to have to deal with is a door puzzle. Now, this game has its fair share of puzzles. It's not very common for Metal Gear games to have, like, puzzles. Some of the old 2D Metal Gear games did have some very puzzling, weird, old game-esque puzzles to them. Adventure game-esque, but this game has, like, a door puzzle. How do you solve this puzzle of how to open all these doors? Thankfully for us, we already know the 4 possibilities that there are for this door puzzle. And depending on what switch the guard presses, that'll determine what the pattern is. So Chris and Snake are going to split up here. She's going to go to the power plant, and we're going to go head to the barracks to go meet with Dr. Jimmy Harks, who developed the Metal Gear that has been taken by the terrorists. Now you might be saying, why aren't you picking up that ration? I'll be fine. Don't worry. Don't worry. Got this under control. So he's pressing switch 2. So that means my pattern is going to be this. We're going to press the first switch, second switch, the third switch 3 times, and then the second switch. So 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 2. That's the puzzle. Very confusing when you play casually, though. Very confusing. So here are the dogs. Thankfully, they're only in this stage. Nice, slip right by that guard. We're gonna give this dog one punch. And he hit me through the load zone. What a poop face. I don't appreciate it. We're head up the right side and go through this screen. We'll be picking up some grenades. Grenades are very useful. We'll be using it for the boss coming up and for other bosses along the way, along with a very huge skip later on in the game. So now the other door's open, we're going to make our way around. The movement there is very tight. You have to know when to go diagonally down left and how to go around that mud. One punch there to buffer my movement so that guard dog doesn't spot me. Not worry about the birds. And I go diagonally there to set up my movement here to trick these dogs into running into the corner so I can slip on by. And thankfully, we'll never have to see another dog again in this game. Pick up all the supplies. Equip our grenades and rations, and here we go. Slasher Hawk, first boss of the game. So the way this boss works, he has 2 boomerangs. One that zigzags, the green boomerang that he's holding right there. And then he has a red boomerang that goes linearly in a direction. And in the second phase of the fight, his hawk will start attacking us as well. And the big thing here is just timing out the invincibility frames. It's about 2 seconds I want to throw every time. Every 2 seconds. Or about 7 flashes of his model. Ooh, I don't know if that landed. We'll see. Alright, that landed like that. Potentially, if you throw that grenade early enough, you can get an additional attack in very quickly, because his iframes will be cleared by that little cutscene of the bird attacking. But we made clean work of him regardless. 347, respectable. Yes, I'm not just saying that. You know, I'll be real with you all if I'm not doing a good job. But I'm one of the primary routers for this game, along with VLCC, the current world record holder. I've done a lot of investigation into how to approach certain rooms, invincibility frames, abusing all sorts of tricks and directional things you can do in the various stages. It's been really fun, because this is one of my favorite Metal Gear games. So Slasher Hawk dies, and now we're heading into the barracks, stage 5. This is one of the longest and hardest stages in the game. It has some very tight execution. It has a skip in it as well. So look forward to that. It also has one of the infamous puzzles of this game, the box sorters. So we're going to be picking up 3 cardboard boxes in this stage. And this will allow us to go through these conveyor belts up on the 2nd floor, which is how we're going to be achieving our goals, is by using the boxes to get items, so on and so forth, so we can eventually make a prison break for the good Dr. Jimmy Harks. And if you played Metal Gear Solid, Jimmy Harks is like the Otacon character of this game, but he's a bit more immature since he's like a 16-year-old child prodigy. As long as you know where you're going, the box sorters are just auto-scrollers, so that they're a good place for donations. Not really much to talk about here besides hold the direction you're going towards to, move on through. Good music, though. Now, this first drop is going to have a very tight room on the movement, so I'm just going to try to focus and not mess it up, because we're trying to hit a very specific cycle in this room. Nice. Okay, he moves swiftly, and we get out before the camera spots us. That is personally one of my favorite rooms in the entire game. It's challenging. It's beautiful when done properly. Everything is done so deliberately. Ugh, it just looks so cool to me, because you bamboozle all the guards. But you can't bamboozle them for too long, or else the camera will spot you as you try to exit. Really cool. That screen to me is like, sort of like shows what Ghost Babel can do. What's cool about this run. So now we're going to ride the box sorters yet again. This is trip 2. And we're going to be picking up the level 3 card. If I remember correctly, I think it's the level 3 card. As you can see, the color in Game Boy Color is pretty important in this game. You can't play this on a normal Game Boy due to puzzles like this. So we're going to head into this gas-filled room. Pick up the card. Wait for the guard to go past and run by him. Now we're going to knock this guard out and run around. And you're going to see here, you can actually punch the button in the door. So that saves like a fraction of a second. I'm going to hurt myself intentionally here. That's for a death abuse coming up. A death abuse allows us to skip picking up the thermo goggles. However, if the skip messes up, I do have a backup. So on this next screen transition, we're going to swap to red. Now we're going to head to go pick up the blue box. We're also heading into another tough movement section when we drop again. However, we are going to pick up some supplies in this room. This ration. And these stun grenades. Stun grenades are very useful. We'll be using them several times throughout the run to manipulate guard patterns and to avoid getting smacked around too much. So here we go. We got to knock very quickly here to avoid getting spotted. Let the guard pass. Ooh, that was close. So guards can actually look left and right when they hear a noise. They'll like peer around. Not only does that waste time, but it could potentially be very dangerous if they look at the wrong spot and you're not prepared for it. Here we go. Pass on by that guy. And remember, in this game, it's not like Metal Gear 1 where they had that one line of pixel they can see. They can see out of their peripheral vision. It's like a cone. So we're about to take our final conveyor belt ride, which was a lot harder for me to say than I thought it would be. Gotta equip our yellow box, as always. You don't want to go left here. It just loops you around. It's a big waste of time. But we're gonna take a little shortcut here, because we're gonna equip the blue box, and that will cut us up immediately. And just alternate back and forth. So, coming up, there's going to be a room where there's lasers in the dark. And if you trip the lasers, you're going to cause gas to fill in the room and you won't be able to open the door on the other side. Well, by doing Death Abuse, we can actually reset the RNG at the lasers and time our movement such that we skip getting caught by the lasers. So I kill myself, head out and back in. And the punching is just to buffer my movement. It's a timing method, so I know that I'm good to go through the room. So now we're heading to go pick up some C4 to blow Jimmy out of jail. So we drop in here, pick up the C4. And hopefully not get smacked by this guy. Okay, getting shot, that's no big deal. It's better to get shot than knocked down. Doing some zigzags there. The RNG of the guards there, it's all over the place, so you just have to be prepared for what they throw at you. But that wasn't too bad. Let's do it again. There we go. That is the thermo goggles skip. Done successfully. Very happy about that. If you mess up, it's no big deal because I have the gas mask, so if the gas fills in, I just equip the gas mask and wait it out as a backup strategy. Now we just blow up this wall. And that is stage 5. Very long stage, a lot of technical movement, and a skip. Along with some nice, snoozy auto-scrollers. Which, honestly, I don't mind that much, because then I can, let my mind go for a little bit. Considering how fast this run is at the start, it's a good relief. 733. You definitely want to have a sub 8 on that stage. So he's telling us about Metal Gear. It's a very scary machine, I can tell you that. And about Project Babel. We're not going to get into all the conspiratorial stuff involved in this story. But, spoiler alert, pretty much everyone, all the characters shown on screen are getting played by figures that aren't really there. It's like shadowy government figures who are really in control of this situation. So Jimmy's going to be like, hey, you know, the power just went out. I think you need this. So the developers, to their credit, actually acknowledge that you could sequence break, and they just give you the thermal goggles regardless. Really cool. So now that the power's out, we're going to have to make our way out of the barracks, head towards Metal Gear. And I'm going to be using stun grenades to my advantage here. Throw it at a very specific spot in the wall to despawn guards. So I caused an alert. You think that would be a bad idea, but now there's no guards coming in. And we're going to throw another stun here. Now, since we already have the card for each of these card doors, if we're on alert, the door just opens automatically. That saves us the trouble of taking the card out and waiting for the door to open. We just picked up the Galil R5 assault rifle. We skipped picking up the 5.7 pistol at the start of the run. So we need some gun that fires bullets for this boss and bosses later on. And once we clear the sorters, we go out of prone, go up this conveyor belt, stand up. Now we get a very short comic relief codec where Jimmy makes fun of Chris. Very important stuff. And this guy's gonna spot us, but he's not actually gonna follow us on the conveyor belts. He's too scared. He's like, I'm not being paid enough to go on those conveyor belts. It seems a little dangerous. So we're coming up to the second boss of the game, Marionette L. And the way this boss works is that he's going to pretend that he's one of his dolls by, changing his model to one of the dolls. And you need to shoot him and not the dolls. If you shoot the dolls, they explode into bullets. It's not a good look. Not a good look. But the start of this fight is completely predictable. It's the second part of the fight. He can give us several different patterns of attack, so you got to be ready for all the possibilities there. But we'll make quick work of him, believe me. And he does have a face, even though the thermal goggles make it look like he doesn't. He's just like some pale white ghost. So yeah, we don't want to shoot those dolls, we want to shoot him. So I go up here, shoot him again, see what pattern I get. So this is a good pattern. He goes clockwise around the room in a diagonal. He's a sitting duck. The 211, not bad, considering I had a couple of movement errors in that stage. I had good luck with Marionette L. Fight is over very quickly, which is how you want it to be, not just from a speedrunning perspective, but the longer that fight goes on, the more likely you're going to get hit by those bullets. It's very painful. And if you die there, you get pushed back like a minute or two, and then you have to come all the way back to Marionette. It's not fun. So now we're about halfway done with the run, more or less. We're now on stage 7. This stage is mostly cutscenes. Now you think this is a door puzzle because of what you had to deal with earlier, but no, it's just a huge troll from the developers. You just go through the doors. Those are fake switches. They don't actually help you. And we go prone at certain points on the ground to avoid getting blown up by landmines in this minefield. Now we're trying to go up the hill, up this mountain to go to the maintenance base and destroy Metal Gear, but that's not how things are gonna go. Instead, this chopper's gonna stop us, and Metal Gear's gonna fire a test nuclear strike to show that they mean business. Again, look at that art. I mean, you know, I think it takes a certain kind of appreciation for, you know, old school 8-bit look, but the amount of artwork and music and assets that are in this game, they really push the hardware to its limits, the Game Boy Color. And still with having a pretty steady frame rate. There's a couple of places where the game can lag, but in general it's very smooth. So the artillery strikes are preventing us from going up the hill. We're going to have to go back down. And hopefully we don't get striked by one of these random shots, because they drop randomly. And we didn't. Very good. 2 shots from the artillery will kill you. So now we're coming into stage 8, and this has the biggest skip in the entire game. We'll be skipping up, picking up the Nikita missile launcher, and that saves us several minutes from a maze, but this guy's going to do a speedrun of his own on this videotape. Got a 4-second run. Let's see if he can beat his run later on. That was pretty good. He talked a lot. I like a man who can conserve some videotape. Now, this skip saves us from going on the second floor of this power plant, where you have to sidle across this maze and go through vents. It's very slow, it's very painful, and boring. So what we're actually going to be doing is abusing invincibility frames to go across an electrified floor, because the electrified floor is only in one part of the floor. The rest of it is not electrified. But before we do that, we have to go downstairs. Now as we go through this stage, you can be looking at these little pillars. There's pillars like that across the whole stage. And certain pillars have an exposed corner. These exposed corners are important because in the next stage we're going to have to blow up these exposed corners to complete the stage. Where these pillars are is random. Some of them are really good. Some of them are really bad. This stage is where the estimate, can be a bit flexible. Ideally, you would have a run that's about 115, 116 in that range, but because of this stage, with stage 8 and stage 9, so to speak, but really stage 9, you could waste several minutes due to bad RNG. We damage boost through these electrified puddles and go through this vent. Hopefully this is the only vent we have to go through. If we get a bad pillar spot, we'll have to crawl through some vents later on. It's not fun. Try to minimize your turning in the vents by moving diagonally. Hope his feet are all right doing that movement. Delay a little bit here so we can run by this guy. I'm going to run up here just to check. All right, we didn't get that spawn. And we didn't get that spawn. So I'm just doing my due diligence, trying to see where the spawns might be. That is a very common spot, so that's the first pillar. Oops, that's not quite what I wanted to do. You want to run up here, knock this guard out, and then run on through. Whoopsie. No big deal, though, because I was still on a timer, regardless. So we'll have to go in the basement. That's a very common spot to get. There's 4 pillars in total. But now, we're going to be doing the Nikita skip. So, this electrified floor I'm approaching, I'm going to go to a very particular spot by the electrified floors, pretty much as close as I can get, blow myself up, and then a guard's going to come, smack me, and then I'm going to abuse my invincibility frames to go through the electrified floor. Got it? Let's do it. So there's going to be a guard coming. Ooh, no, that's not good. Alright, I'm going to have to do some backup shenanigans. Sometimes it doesn't quite go to plan. I need you to not smack me like that, man. Oh boy. Sometimes it doesn't go quite as I'd like it to. No, don't knock me down like that. Shoot me. There we go. Alright, we got through. Not exactly ideal, but I messed up my movement on the first go. But messing up is not a big deal there. Even if you mess up, it's still minutes faster than the alternative. So that's another pillar spot. That's number 2. Thankfully, this part is a little bit easier as long as they shoot me properly. There we go. I'm gonna pull out my stun grenade here. Knock these fools out. Alright, good. That is the worst spot in the entire game. That's the spot where you have to crawl through a vent for 2 minutes. Not fun. Here is Pyro Bison, a very threatening figure. He has a flamethrower. He's like the Fury from Metal Gear Solid 3 before the Fury was a thing. This guy really loves fire. Really loves fire. But I'm going to show him why I really love bullets. For strategy purposes. So you have to shoot the proper spot on his body. Just time out the iframes. There we go. That's Pyro Bison done. The start was a little bit woozy. As well, the Nikita skip wasn't quite up to snuff, but that can happen. Like I said, even if you died attempting Nikita skip and you had to go all the way back up from the basement, it's still faster to do that than the alternative, the intended method. The intended method adds like 5 or 6 minutes to the stage. So yeah, Pyrobison's a little bit of a pushover. So now we have 3 pillars. 4th is still missing in action. Bison was telling us about the U.S. government is not exactly doing the best thing in this situation. Some of this was a little bit spooky. Black Chamber, who was originally a group in the military for the U.S. military, was double-crossed and pinned for crimes they did not commit. So after losing a bunch of people, they plotted revenge by taking Metal Gear and threatening the world with it, along with this minority revolution in this South African country. It's a lot of geopolitical complications there. And that's the final pillar, so that's really good. Now I know where all my pillars are. No further investigation needed. If I can get through the door, there we go. Knock this guard out. Go through the door. So originally the plan is to blow up the generator here to destroy this power plant, but there's an electrified floor there. And Snake's like, look, I know the last stage I showed that these electrified floors mean nothing to me, but I'm going to throw the terrorists a bone and not do that. So now we're going to blow up the power plant instead. So we're heading up here just to pick up the C4. Because we're going to need some C4 for later on in the game. So even though I know where all the pillars are, still got to pick that stuff up. And wait for this guard to go by. Zip on through. Punch the elevator button. Over here is a pillar spot as well. I still look at the spots mostly for my own muscle memory. This stage can be fast or slow depending, so you have to just, remind yourself of where the all the pillar spawns are. But ideally, they're all on the first floor. So here's spot 1. Over here is spot 2. I'm gonna run over here and pick up some granadas. Was it on? Okay, it was on the other side. Yes. Yeah, that works. It's okay to get spotted here. Ha! Can't go past the trap floor, can ya, fella? So we're gonna pull out our chaff grenade here. First chaff I'm gonna use throughout the whole run. Just so this camera doesn't spot me as I'm running up here. The other 2 chaff we'll be using in 2 stages. Now, admittedly, I have to admit this to you guys, to all you people watching, that I don't actually need to be doing that whole elevator menu pausing shenanigans. However, by doing that, this attempt I'm doing could get world records. That's why I've been doing it. It's mostly out of selfish reasons, because it does kind of lose you some time with menuing RTA. I'm just blowing that up so I can run on through like this. For some reason, you can do that on the previous stage, but you can't do it on this stage. I don't know why. It's weird. Originally, we were going to blow up the power plant when we got out of it, but they're like, it's too late. We got to do it now. We got to have a Michael Bay scene. gotta have the explosions going on and kablooies. So now the power plant's on fire. And we're gonna do a thing that you should never do in a burning building. Riding the elevator, not a good idea. Don't do this. At least the game is nice to give us some relaxing elevator noise. Back to panic music. This rubble falls randomly, which potentially can pose a problem. If you're going against the wall here and the rubble falls before you're fully on the wall, you'll get disconnected from the wall and then have to reapply yourself to the wall. But we're out of there. It wasn't, you know, the pillar spawns were pretty good. Not the best, but they were fine. 305. Unfortunately, I lost all that time in the previous stage because of the Nikita skip, but I might still be on record pace. I'm not sure. We'll see when the run ends. Oh, here's another attempt at tape. He had 4 seconds last time. He beat his PB. Impressive. So, Snake meets up again with Jimmy, the person guarding Jimmy. I think his name's Steve. He's dead. He's like, this guy was helping me. He's gone. And now Jimmy has these pretty cool looking cufflinks on. Very pretty. I wonder what they're going to do. I didn't remember him having those before, so what's that about? Oh. He blew up. What a shame. And people are like, well, our doctor got ambushed. Who did it? And this guy, McBride's like, it must be Chris. Chris must be working with the terrorists. Our VIP, the person that developed Metal Gear, just got killed. Who did it? Maybe it's Chris. So, some airplanes come in, blow up these artillery, so we can go back up the hill like we wanted to originally. Beautiful Game Boy explosions. So this stage is pretty short. What we're going to be doing is fighting that helicopter. And this is the hardest helicopter fight in 2D Metal Gear. We don't have the Nikita. Now the reason why this is the hardest helicopter fight in 2D Metal Gear is because the helicopter fights in the other 2D Metal Gear games are kind of jokes. This one can go really fast, potentially, if it gives me a good attack pattern at the start of the fight. I could destroy it before it even flies to the sides of the arena. So we hope for the missile attacks, not the machine gun attack. Pick up these grenades. We'll be using them. And was that Chris? Was it Chris? So at the start of this fight, I'm going to hold up left to get in position to start throwing grenades at this chopper. Oh, that's not good. Alright, fastest strat approach is kind of dead at this point, unfortunately. See, if I didn't mess up getting knocked down that one time, wouldn't have flown over here, but that was still a fast fight. Still a fast fight. Who else besides Solid Snake takes out a helicopter by lobbing grenades at it? It's wonderful. 117, very nice. Teen time, pretty ideal. Of course, I could have had the ideal if I didn't get knocked down there. So close to like perfect fight where the chopper never flies away. It was not Chris. This is Sophie Nadram. Her story, you know, she's part of this resistance movement in this country. Gindra, she is a Gindra in this country, and it's an ethnic minority. And the Gindra Liberation Front is working at Black Chamber to pretty much propel their strength as a minority in the country. She thought she could pull a gun on Snake. It doesn't work like that. She tells him her story, and Snake shows mercy to her. Doesn't kill her. But for some reason, he doesn't keep the gun. I would like that gun, sir, but he doesn't keep it. I wish I had it, but I guess he throws it away. So now we're at stage 11. We have 3 more stages to go. This is the maintenance, the underground base we're heading into. And it's thanks to this stage that we can even do Nikita Skip. This room over here, it has a Nikita in it. And that's because you can do individual level playthroughs in this game. So it's there. Thanks, game developers. Because we really do need the Nikita for the end game here. Specifically for blowing some stuff up. But we're trying to avoid blowing stuff up by doing this. We're going to skip using the Nikita a little bit. Again, totally fake electric floor. Plant the explosion. Abuse iframes to go across the floor. Pick up this ration. And this card. I'll blow up that panel. And then we'll blow up this panel. So this is also a Nikita skip, but we're not skipping the Nikita, we're just skipping using the Nikita. Pick up this C4. Head on up. Knock this guard out. I'm gonna pull out my stun grenades. I'll be using that right here to avoid getting smacked around too much. Getting smacked down loses you about 1.5 seconds. Throwing the stun grenade, it's like you lose about 1/6 of a second, so it works out. If you want to play Super YOLO, you could not throw it, but that is completely dependent on the guards being nice to you. These guards aren't nice to me, so I don't trust it. Now, people talk about the stair sequence in Metal Gear Solid 3. Or, no, not the stair sequence, the ladder sequence. There's a stair sequence in MGS2, or Metal Gear 2 and MGS1. Well, folks, let me show you the elevator sequence of this game. 50-floor elevator ride. I kind of like to think of it as sort of like you're going deeper. You know, it's kind of like a Dante's Inferno kind of thing. You're riding deeper and deeper into hell, about to fight the hellish machine, Metal Gear itself. 50 floors. And the 50th floor is no joke. It's got some tough execution, and we really don't want to mess up the laser room, because we'll get caught by the lasers and have to do a backup strat. Now, like Metal Gear Solid, when Meryl goes through that minefield showing you the path, this guard's showing us the path through this room as well. Put the path in quotation marks because we're not going to follow this path. This is really slow and circular. Show them how it's done. Go like this. Pick up some more C4. In this room coming up, we have to deal with the random laser patterns. Nice, nice, very good. There we go. That was really good. I'm glad I got that pattern. This guard should turn around, get spotted, then the door's open for us, which is nice. Now we open this door. Re-equip the thermos. And now we need to equip our C4 so we can blow up these walls. This is a big maze section. This is why picking up that C4 earlier is really important. There's a lot of stuff we gotta blow up here. Stun those guards because they are a pain in the butt. And then here, I'm gonna re-equip my rations, blow up the wall like that. Now the reason why I equip the ration here to use it is because going through that trap door and waiting, it takes a long time, so it's better just to damage boost your way through that, so to speak. Now we're out of that room. I'm going to equip our card and the Nikita missiles. And now we're going to pick up the final card upgrade in the game, level 6. And throw our final stun grenade of the game. Oh, you poop heads. Oh well. It almost worked. Equip the chaff grenade here. And now the thermos. And wait for the lasers. Just be patient. Don't want to trip them. Throw that now. So the camera doesn't spot us. And do the same approach again. We need to dip into this room to reset the camera position so we can run around like this. And that is floor 50. Pretty tough. One of the tough areas of the game. It's very easy to choke. But since I picked up that gas mask way earlier on, even if I get caught in that laser room, I can equip the gas mask and wait out the gas as a backup. So, we're now going to ride a 48 floor ride. That is 2 less. I did take 4th grade math class. 50 minus 2 is 48. So it's a little bit shorter. Do some laps. Showed my jittery leg. You guys like my jittery leg? It's a crazy elevator. Absolute crazy. There's Metal Gear. We're going to dip into this room, though. We're dipping into this room to pick up these supplies, and it's very important we get out of here ASAP before this guard spots us. I'm going to check my rations in this next elevator ride. Out of a concern for safety, okay, I have 3. Out of a concern for safety, I'll pick up a safety ration just to make sure we have no problems going into endgame. We shouldn't have to use all these rations, but if things go really wrong, I'd rather have it than not. It's just guaranteeing that I am not going to die on Metal Gear or anything like that. I'm going to show you, wonderful people, a little Easter egg that might kill my pace, but who cares? I would show this at a marathon as well. Over here is the remains of the original Metal Gear from the MSX game, the first Metal Gear game. It's in that room. Pretty cool little Easter egg. You can call Colonel and talk about it as well. So, now we head on up. We're about to fight Black Arts Viper. He is the leader of Black Chamber. He's kidnapped Chris Jenner, our war buddy, and he's gonna talk about how he craves for vengeance. The revengeance, if you will. He's gonna show us his really cool mechanical arm. A prosthetic arm. Seemed a little bit familiar if you've ever played MGS5. Forget about it. This fight, hopefully he's going to move one of two ways, and we're hopefully going to be able to completely predict his movement patterns. Okay. He went the way I'd rather he not go, but that's okay. So these wires are dangerous. You don't want to trip them. Every time he does that little ching sound effect, the wires disappear. If you run into a wire, you explode. You can go underneath the wire as well, like that. Not too bad, considering I went and showed an Easter egg, 736. But Black Arts Viper is not done. He is the final boss of the game. Stage 13 is fighting him once again. Notice Viper, Snake. Get it? Chris gets all sad. She feels like she didn't contribute enough. But Snake's like, don't worry about it. We're going to get out of this alive. We're going to stop nuclear holocaust together, you and me. Just go secure our escape route, all right? All right. So stage 12. This is the Metal Gear fight. This is what we've all been waiting for. The Metal Gear in this game is Metal Gear Gander. And Metal Gear Gander is pretty rough. He's a very durable sucker. Compared to the other 2D Metal Gears, he is no pushover. The other 2D Metal Gears, they die very easily, especially in a marathon, or speed run, excuse me. We're going to pick up these supplies and listen to this wonderful music as Snake hauls himself to fight. The start of this fight, we're blowing up his legs. And get to see the scale of what we're dealing with here. The general, the leader of this insurgency of the Gindra minority, he readies Metal Gear. We have to deal with it. First, take out its legs. Movement here is very particular. We're trying to make him drop his legs as soon as possible. No adjustments, no waiting. Drop those legs so I can blow them up. I actually took a little bit of a risk because now I'm going to have to finish with landmines. This will be fine though. Just like that. Come on, buddy. There we go. I'll take the damage. There is C4 you can pick up on this stage, but I skipped it to save a few seconds. The legs are down. The legs are down, but Metal Gear itself still survives. We have to take out the body. We're going to be standing in very particular spots so we can take out the turrets, the machine guns, the turrets on the shoulder, and hopefully not have to ever attack that missile pack because it's slow. Here we go. Pull out those nades. Start throwing. So those are the shoulder turrets. We never want to see them flying around because it's slow. We want them trying to attack us from the shoulder, because when they expose themselves, we pull out the Nikita, launch an attack, and that does way more damage than the grenades do. So you're going to see me swap back and forth, back and forth. Fortunately, I'm getting bad patterns again. The RNG of this kind of this Gander fella is pretty cruel. Oh god, he did it again. What a big meanie. There we go. So we destroyed that turret. Now we're gonna go to the other side. Now the missile barrage. This attack is very dangerous. Gotta be very careful because they do a lot of damage. Come on. Nice. All right, I think we got to the final phase of the fight. Yes. All right, so this is the flamethrower phase. This is the final phase. Just have to throw that grenade directly in the center. That's it. That's Metal Gear. That was a really good fight. Didn't give me missile phase, but the turrets were a little bit annoying. You don't want the turrets flying around. You want it to pop up from the shoulder so you can maximize damage. But I've seen worse RNG, honestly. So now the general reveals some dastardly secrets that I'm not going to get into. It's a very complex conspiracy, as it always is with the Metal Gear games. But the data's all on this disc. So we're pretty much home free. We have the final stage, stage 13. We'll be fighting Blackheart's Viper yet again. Because even though Metal Gear seems destroyed, if he can bring it to the surface on this elevator, he can launch a nuclear attack. This final stage, we'll be fighting in this arena. And Blackheart's Viper can spawn after each damage instance we give him in various spots. So it's a bit random where he's going to be. It was McBride all the time. He was a member of Black Chamber. Oh my gosh. Spoiler alert. That guy's evil. Again, I really like the art of this game. How much you can do with so little. Those close-ups of their faces. So we have 90 seconds to take them out. Hopefully we get good luck. It's not something I can control too much. You can deny... Ooh, I got good luck there. He spawned in right where I was. So you can control where he's going to be on one side or the other. So he's not going to spawn... He's not going to spawn on this side since I'm over here. but where he's going to be on the other side is not controlled. Get spawn again. No, we didn't. Oh. Make sure he's not spawning over there. Just time out your shots. That's all it is. No, why are you going this way? Come back. And that's time. A 1:15:20. Very respectable. My estimate is, I haven't really decided quite yet, but I think it's around a 1:18. RTA ends when the final stage finishes. I'll be letting the credits and such play out for a few minutes so we can see the in-game timer. But that is Metal Gear Ghost Babel. I want to thank you for your consideration. I know this game's a little bit more niche as far as the Metal Gear series is concerned, but as a speedrun, I think it has a lot going for it. The movement, the skips, the boss strategies are humorous and fun, and there's the RNG element, which, you know, makes it exciting. What am I gonna get? Even if someone didn't like the speedrun so much, I think this is a great game to play as a Metal Gear fan. It is chock full of content. It has a sound test. It has 90 VR missions you can play. It has a versus mode. And on the PAL and Japanese releases, there is a radio play, a very funny radio play you can listen or read on each stage after you complete the game. There's just clearly a lot of work that was put into this game, and it's a real shame that they never made another 2D Metal Gear game after this one, because it had a lot of potential to continue on, especially since this game kind of ends on a cliffhanger of like, what are these people gonna do next? And plus, because of the Game Boy Color itself, you have to do all your menuing by pressing the select button, you know, which is kind of awkward and cramped. With shoulder buttons, it would have changed everything. Hint, hint, Game Boy Advance, right? But unfortunately, this game never got a sequel. But, you know, even so, this game, to me, is still wonderful enough to play, even to this day. So once again, thank you for watching. I'll let the credits play out and we'll see what my results are. Take care. That, folks, is a world record.